Hello everyone, and welcome to this humble video on my graphic settings for DCS. So due to popular demand on the Facebook DCS group, I had lots of feedback from people asking me what settings was I running after I uploaded a certain video of me losing control of the Tomcat, and I've decided to, just quickly run through my settings so you guys can see what I'm running. A disclaimer first, I have a very heavy machine. I'm running an i7 7700K, factory defaults, 32 gigs of 3200 megahertz DDR4s, 1080 Ti, water-cooled processor, so it is quite a beefy machine. So without further ado, let's jump onto my settings, my graphics settings, the main game one. So as you can see, I'm running high on both, and that is because I can afford it. As with everything I say, you need to adapt it to your system. But I'll let you know that I was running a 1070 right before I got my 1080 Ti, and I was running those very same settings with very good results. So I have both textures and terrain textures on high. These are what affects the visual quality of your game. Then I have civilian traffic on low. That's because I really don't care for trains or cars that run and airplanes that run about. They take up a lot of memory, so you can switch it to off if you want. It doesn't make much of a difference, or you can keep it on low if you feel like seeing the odd traffic on your playthroughs. Water, this is what affects most your performance, because the way it's set up in DCS world is everything runs on a blanket of water, so the maps will be loaded with water first, and then you will always have water underneath your terrain. So this setting will affect that water detail level. I run it on high because low and medium make my eyes bleed, but just try whatever you can to make it work for you. As for the visibility range, I can afford to run an extreme. Usually with my 1070 I will run it on high, sometimes ultra, depending if I'm making films or taking screenshots. This setting also affects your FPS very much so just test it before you commit. Hit blur, I keep it on low because, to be honest, you're always facing forward most of the time when you're in the cockpit, and unless you're taking screenshots or making cinematic videos, the difference between the two of them doesn't justify playing on high. So yeah, your shadows, mine are set on high together, so they're together with the default terrain shadows. So here you have a bit of play space. So basically you can set it to flat only, so you'll get flat shadows that don't really affect your FPS much. Same with the terrain ones. My resolution, I have a 27-inch 1920 to 1080. Aspect ratio is just default. I run on one screen only, and this is the resolution of the cockpit displays. You can have all these options. I run it on 1024 without VSync. So the every frame, what it does, it syncs basically. It's a VSync for the individual MFDs. In the case of the Tomcat, the mirrors are also treated as MFDs. I run at 1024. That gives me the best results. And if I'm struggling for FPS, which you might find it hard to believe, but sometimes I do in very populated areas, I get dips into the 30s. I just switch off my cockpit mirrors, and that helps a lot. My MSAA, I'm running at 4 times, which is basically your anti-aliasing, so your jagged edges around objects and stuff. I just have it cranked up to 4 times. I don't use any NVIDIA settings, so yeah, it's all done in game in my case. My depth of field, I don't like the way depth of field affects your vision in game, so I just keep it off. I have the effects, so the sun flare and the dirt, also just for eye candy really. Motion blur I hate, so I keep it off. And the SSAA, so the super sampling anti-aliasing, which basically will dual render whatever you're seeing on screen in this case, or 1.5 render. I keep it to 2 times. That's because I have the computing power for that. I usually get stable 70-80 frames per second. If I'm recording, maybe 60. So yeah, those are my settings in game. I also run what's it called, this thing, reshade. So reshade is what really probably you guys noticed. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention my gamma there. Let me go back. So yeah, I didn't mention my right hand setting. So basically the clutter grass I keep it maximum, so the visibility for the trees. The preload radius, if you have 32 gigs of RAM, you can afford to do that. What it basically does is it preloads the map. So the higher the value, the less buffering you'll get in game. So the more stable it is, but you have to have the RAM to do it, otherwise it won't work. Chimney smoke, this is all default. Chimney smoke density, gamma. So this is where some of you guys probably noticed that I had really deep shadows. So basically what I did is I just played with the settings. So I had it on default 2.2, I lowered to 1.9, was too dark for me, brought it up to 2, works perfectly. So you get a deeper blue on the sky, you get deeper shadows, but results may vary depending on your screen setup and what brightness and contrast settings you have on the screen. And anisotropic filtering, I just keep it at maximum 16 because that's in the distance. Say when you're landing on a carrier or looking at distant objects, this setting helps a lot with fidelity and definition. The shadows, by default they're on flat, so I just keep them at default. That gives me 3D shadows on the ground. And the global cockpit illumination is basically the shadows and the lighting, like flood lighting, MFD lighting. Some modules will have these better developed than others. So yeah, everything else I just keep on. VSync because I have a G-Sync monitor, so it helps. Rain droplets, yeah, I'm still to see them. I think only the A10 has these. And then I'll run full screen and I scale the GUI because otherwise it just gets in my face. So yeah, back to reshade. Here it is. You can Google it, you'll find it easily. And you install it in your game folder, a DCS folder, and then it just downloads some presets. I have a specific profile I run. So basically, and I'm looking to see if I can find it here so you guys can see what I'm running. So the effects I'm running are these ones. So I'm running adaptive sharpen with 2 passes, so it shows how much is eating at your GPU. I'm running clarity as well with these settings. The curves they just make the colors better, and I think that's it. I'm not running much more with reshade, so everything else is basically down to my computer and my settings. So yeah, let me show you how it looks in game. So if I go here and just do a free flight on the F14 so you can have a look. Waiting for this load screen. See, I'm not too sure if you guys can see the same. I can, because I think reshade doesn't, apply when I'm recording. But with the screenshots, I'll maybe post also a couple of screenshots so you guys can see the difference between reshade and non-reshade. So yeah. Still takes too long to load. It's always, doesn't matter what machine you have, you always think it takes too long to load. So yeah, just wait for it. we go. So we center the track IR. There we go. See? This is how it runs on my computer. I really don't think you guys can see what I'm seeing on my screen. But yeah, I'll post a couple screenshots with before and after so you guys can compare the reshade effects. So yeah, that's basically it. Nothing, not rocket science, as they say. And yeah, just try it out on your system and let me know. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys up there soon.